Monarchy of Israel, Part 9. Origins beginning with Samuel. Now, before I get into what is a monarchy, we must first establish that before there was the Israeli monarchy, there were judges put in place to judge over the people. And it wasn't a physical, fleshly state because God was their ruler and God was their king. And they kept on going after other gods. They kept on sinning and everything like that. So God appointed judges over them. And so as we read in Psalms 82, 1 through 8, we read, God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. That's a lower G. And we're going to get into that word in this particular psalm. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked, Selah? Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said ye are gods, and all you are children of the Most High. But you shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. Short little psalm, it's only 8 verses. But you can clearly see when he is talking about when God said, I have said ye are gods, and you look at the verses above, he's clearly talking about human beings. Now, this is where this whole thing gets mixed up with these faith movement people saying you're like little gods. No. You know, man has no divine, has no deity entitled to them. They're not immortal in this fleshly body, okay? If you look up the word gods in this context, it does mean Elohim, alright? But again, there's more meanings to this word, and it means judges. Basically, people that act on God's behalf, who God specifically appoints to do a job for him. And obviously we see over and over again, more often than not, the judges and the kings did not do their jobs. I'll post all the verses and stuff in the descriptions in the description box below so you can see that. We have an example of this in Exodus 7, 1 and 2, okay, which says, And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh. Okay. And Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. So the Lord God, Jehovah, basically appointed Moses as a god on his behalf, even though he wasn't eternal God, okay? He was appointed as basically a judge to Pharaoh. That was basically his appointed task by God, by Jehovah or Yahuwah, given to Moses to act on God's behalf, the Lord's behalf. So that's basically what the context of Psalms 82 is, okay? So if anybody comes at you with that notion, you can explain to them what that really means, okay? So that's not a contradictory psalm or anything like that. So, what is a monarchy? Well, again, like I said, Israel didn't really have an official monarchy until roughly around the time of Samuel, okay? Because they didn't have a king ruling over them, a man king. They had judges, but that's different than kings, okay? For God was their king. So they didn't have a physical, fleshly government ruling over them. For all they had was God serving them, and they had Samuel as their prophet. So, but a monarchy is a state or government in which the supreme power is lodged in the hands of a single person. Such a state usually called an empire or a kingdom, and we usually give this denomination to a large state only. but the same name is sometimes given to a kingdom or state in which the power of the king or supreme magistrate is limited by a constitution or by fundamental laws, such as the British monarchy. Hence we speak of absolute or despotic monarchies and of limited monarchy or monarchies. See, the thing is this is the whole problem with man ruling over us. And this is why verses such as we ought to obey God rather than man are so vitally important. Because Israel didn't want that. They wanted a fleshly human king to rule over them. Okay, and we're going to get into that right now. So this is titled Origins beginning with Samuel. Well, who was Samuel? Well, Samuel from the Hebrew basically means heard of God, or his name equals Samuel equals his name is El. Alright? And obviously Samuel from the Hebrew name pronounced Shemuel, meaning name of God, or his name is El, was a unique Levitical priest who is generally regarded as the last of the judges. 1 Samuel 7:16, and they gathered together to Mizpah and drew water and poured it out before the Lord and fasted on that day and said, there, we have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. Moving down to verse 15 through 17. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life, and he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal, and Mizpah, and judged Israel in all these places. And his return was to Ramah, for there was his house, and there he judged Israel, and there he built an altar unto the Lord. He was also basically the first of the prophets. Obviously we had Moses, but according to this monarchy type state, he was basically one of the first of the prophets. 1 Samuel 3:19 through 21. And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of the Lord. And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. Acts 3:22 through 26. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me. Him shall ye hear in all things, whatsoever he shall say unto you. And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet shall be destroyed from among the people. Yea, and all the prophets from Samuel, notice how the author starts with Samuel first, and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. Ye are the children of the prophets, and of the covenant which God made with our fathers, saying unto Abraham, and in thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed. Unto you first God, having raised up his Son Jesus, sent him in to bless you, in turning away every one of you from his iniquities. Acts 13:20 and 21 says, and after that he gave unto them judges about the space of 450 years, until Samuel the prophet. And afterward they desired a king, and God gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years. You know, and that's kind of interesting too, because it's weird how, well, it's not weird, but it's really neat how the Bible kind of harmonizes. You had the first Adam, which fell into sin. Okay, Eve was deceived, and Adam followed suit, and sin entered mankind. You had Saul, who started out right, and then he fell into sin heavily. And now you have the second Adam, which was Jesus Christ, and then you have the second Saul, which became Paul. Did the total opposite. He started out bad, but then he ended up being good. And Saul of Tarsus, becoming Paul, was also of the tribe of Benjamin too. So I mean, it's really kind of neat how that kind of worked out, how that works out with typology. But Samuel was not a king, however. He led Israel by means of serving as the Lord's representatives, as Moses did. The Lord was Israel's king, while Samuel in modern-day terminology could have been regarded as the Lord's prime minister, and prime minister means first servant, essentially. When Samuel grew old, he would have been succeeded by his son, according to Levitical law. The problem, however, was that Samuel's sons did not inherit their father's integrity and leadership ability, which is a political reality that various nations have sometimes learned the hard way throughout history. Okay, and that's more than true. 1 Samuel 8, 1 through 6, we're going to be going over the whole chapter here. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, Samuel's ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. See, now they were desiring a king, but they already had a king. It was the Lord God Almighty. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. So the Lord first responded by reminding them that he was their king, fighting their battles and guaranteeing victory for them, whereas a human king would use them for personal gain and involve them in wars of egotistical conquest. The people of Israel nevertheless ignored the warning, so the Lord granted their request for a leader from among themselves to teach them a lesson. And this is what happens when you have a fleshly ruler ruling over you, basically. So, continuing on with chapter 8 here in 1 Samuel. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me. They didn't reject Samuel, but they rejected the Lord, that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day wherewith they have forsaken me, and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly, or protest to them solemnly, like basically give warning unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He shall take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, or basically ointment makers, or perfume makers, or perfumers, and to be cooks and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And you shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us. Okay, so basically, and we can see this throughout history. I mean, the United States, for example, before there was a constitution, before there was a president, you had these Puritans come in and everything like that, and they didn't have anybody ruling over them. they came over here. I mean, there was no White House, there was no Declaration of Independence, there was no government. They came to a free and prospering land, and then what happened? Well, you had the Revolutionary War and the Declaration of Independence. We became a government type system. We allowed man to rule over us. Whereas first, when we came into America, just like how it was in the land of Israel, land of Palestine, there was no king at first. But slowly and slowly, they went after other gods and became corrupt, just like here in America. But now we have people ruling over us, ruling over our properties, ruling over this, ruling over that, taxes and taxes and taxes. All because we decided to go along with having rulers over us. Not to mention all the rulers that are over us were of occult backgrounds, Freemasons, and all this kind of stuff, Knights of Malta. And really, like the Puritans and everything like that, they didn't want this whole freedom of religion and everything like that, because they were free. They were already free. They left the chains and the bondage and chains that they were living under the yoke of England and the Roman Catholicism and these things, and they came here to settle in a free land. Okay, but what happened? They grew cold. Some of them were really warm, hot, and they didn't want this whole governmental body. That we also may be like all the nations. See? It's the same thing that happened in our history. Same thing. And that our king may judge us, and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his city. So in part 10, we're going to discuss who was chosen as Israel's first human king. And obviously, we all know that is Saul, so that's basically who we're going to be going into next. These are going to be a lot shorter, so hopefully you'll be able to get through these with relative ease. But really think about that. I mean, read 1 Samuel 8 and really apply it to today. Okay? And you're going to see the same consequences, basically. So, until next time, guys, truth be told, truth be known, stay safe, God bless, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.